booked through Airbnb in January for a week in Austin for October 22nd through 27th. Put a deposit down of $2,581. We canceled on the 24th of March due to COVID strictly, and tried to get the refund back, and were completely denied by the host and Airbnb, and still fighting for the deposit. We booked a rental through Airbnb January 2020 to go see Formula One races in Austin. And when the country was shut down, and it was entirely shut down, those were all canceled. Our flights were canceled. The Formula One race was canceled. And our business was totally shut down completely. And so I immediately canceled our reservation with Airbnb, which was $2,581. The host, East Villas, came back to me and declined the refund, just as that was her policy. There was no refunds under no circumstances. But Airbnb had a policy saying that if it was due to COVID or it was COVID related, that it would be refunded completely. So I spent many hours fighting this since March, when we canceled it, just out of principle. And I mean, it's in a lot of money. So basically, Airbnb, as a goodwill gesture, refunded $1,000. But the additional deposit was still being held in escrow. So the way that Airbnb works, well, first of all, the cancellation policy did fall under their COVID refund, but for whatever reason, they were leaving it to Eastside Villas to make the final decision, according to Airbnb. But I contacted Eastside Villas, and she said it was up to Airbnb. Because again, they do hold all the money in escrow until the beginning of the rental, which was October 22nd to the 27th. So it was only just recently that rental even happened. So this went back and forth. I spoke to probably over 20 Airbnb associates, and they only do it through their portal. So if you have like an Airbnb account, they contact you through messaging services. It's the same with the hosts. You don't have any information on hosts. You can't call them. There's no personal information of contacting them, and Airbnb won't release any of that. For obvious reasons, I'm sure. However, again, they were blaming her for the deposit not being refunded, and she was blaming them. So, I wrote letters on their Facebook. I wrote letters on any social media that they were connected with, and it still didn't spawn anything. Eastside Villas blocked me through their porthole, so I couldn't talk to them at all through the portal messaging system. And she also doesn't live in the country. So she lives in Brazil, and she has several rentals on Airbnb in Austin. So it's a company, and I tried to research the company through Eastside Villas and couldn't find anything. I think I told you I contacted attorneys. They kind of deflected in saying it wasn't enough money to go after them. And I just feel like, I know I'm not the only person that has dealt with this. There's been a bunch of threads about Airbnb behaving badly, basically, and holding money. And they do have the ability. So again, everything's held in escrow because in case anything happens. So they hold it in escrow until the beginning of the date of the rental. So, them blaming I blame her completely because she denied the refund 100%. She would not, and she wouldn't even talk to me about it. She had, I explained that our business had been shut down and we had lost a huge amount of money, and she didn't care, which I found in these times extremely uncompassionate on her part, especially when I could see that, like, we saw that her villas were booked for those periods. And I just don't know where else to turn. Like, we had no leverage. And it's not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money. It's a lot of money right now. I'm still furloughed. I'm not been since March. And my husband's business has suffered severely through this. And I guess it's the human compassion level that I am so astonished about that this woman has behaved. And Airbnb has just not done anything, and they're a massive company. They just went public on the stock market. Like, this is the part I don't get. So you're talking a multi-million-dollar company that I'm not sure what their worth is, but it seems crazy to me that they're going to hold money for a rental that was never used. It was canceled months in advance, 9 months in advance. March, April, May, June, July, September, October. Yeah, about 9 months. And it was done purely because everything was canceled. It wasn't like we just canceled a week before and we expected to get our deposit back. That wasn't the case at all. This was a very severe situation for us. And nobody knew. Nobody had any idea in March what was going to happen with reopening or anything. So, and even through the summer, I was still trying to get the money back. And obviously she still, she had rented her places out, and Airbnb still had the money. And they even acknowledged that they were holding the money in escrow, but they weren't allowed to release it. So as a company, I will never use Airbnb again. The way that they've handled this has been so poor. Again, they're holding money for a service that was never rendered. We never took anything from them, and they're still getting the money, regardless of her policy. Her policy is a no refund, 100% under no circumstances. But when this first happened, Airbnb did officially say that because of COVID, they were going to refund, people's deposits, full stop. So that's where we are with this. I'm still fighting with them. Like, again, it's about principle, because I just can't believe that they're not going to refund this money. Airbnb didn't service in any way. All they did was take a reservation. They've had to deal with me endlessly, but there was no exchange money service, if that makes sense. And when you put a deposit down, you expect to get something in return. We didn't get anything. We just got the money taken. And this isn't, it'd be different if it was like a little Airbnb, or a bed and breakfast that was, kind of on their nose or something. But this is a massive company, and they're holding all the money anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm at my wit's end with this. I saw your website, and I feel like people really need to understand who they're dealing with, because the fees that Airbnb charges for even just a booking is pretty astonishing. You start looking at all the fees and stuff like that. They're not a good company. They're not, I don't think they're a fair company. I don't think they take care of their clients. I don't know how the other end is as far as the hosts. I don't know how that is. But as far as, I've used them a number of times, and I've had problems with them before. I used to live in the UK, and I did a booking for a house and the booking fee was £500 because it was a very expensive week. And I canceled it within 12 hours and they were still going to charge me the £500. And I had to fight with them about that. So yeah, they're not the company I think is not well managed or run. And they're definitely not a compassionate company. I mean, this isn't me just speaking out of turn. I have hundreds of emails to them. I mean, I sent them proof of our whole company being shut, my husband's company being shut down, and me being furloughed. And it didn't change anything. It didn't change anything. So, and I understand that this is everybody's taking a hit during this period, but it's just the fact that the host was able to recoup that week that we canceled. She had 9 months, and obviously once some of the restrictions were lifted, especially in Texas restrictions are far less than it in most of the other states. So, again, here we are. So I can't even contact her. And the only way I'll be able to contact her directly is if I get an attorney and they get an injunction where they have to release their information. But, is it worth it? I've already put so much time into it. So, and a lot of people are like, go the social media route and start slamming them and post all the messages that you've sent and all the responses. And I've done all that and it still hasn't really shaken anything out. I think with you guys, I think I posted as much as I could, but I couldn't it was only allowing me to upload so many documents. So here we are. Well, firstly, if they were to refund the outstanding deposit amount, that would be the first thing. But I don't honestly know that I would stay with. I mean, they would really have to offer. I'm so put off with the whole thing that I don't want anything to do with them. I mean, I wouldn't use Airbnb again, ever. And Eastside Villas, no chance. She was so rude in her messages that she couldn't have cared less what was happening. So, I mean, just as, it would be great if Airbnb could just refund the rest of the money. That would be great. And that's really all I want. For all the time that I've put into this, I'd really like to sue them, but I don't have the energy or the resources to do that. I've spent hours. When I say hours, it's probably been days trying to fight this. So a solution? I don't know. I hope they don't screw anybody else. I don't think that's going to happen. They're such a massive company now that I don't think it matters. Internationally, again, they've just gone public on the stock market, so that makes a big difference. They're growing. They're not sort of, they're not depleting, I guess, in their business. So I don't know. Yeah, no, really, this is my only angle is just to get the money that we gave as a deposit. That's all I want back. I would read all the fine print very carefully because I did read. I knew that it wasn't, that she had a no cancellation policy, but Airbnb, when COVID hit, had a clause in their cancellation saying, absolutely, if this falls under, and it's said, I can pull it up. They have an extenuating circumstances clause that said, if this falls under COVID, this is directly related to COVID, we will refund you 100%. And they didn't. And I gave them more than enough proof information that it was all directly related to COVID. I would just, I mean, make sure you read all their, like all the fees that they charge for booking and cleaning fees. And it ends up being, we were going with a large group of people. That's why we did it. And again, I was already apprehensive about Airbnb to begin with, but we were going with 6 other people. So it made sense to just rent a house. And, in January, COVID was not on the radar. So we already had tickets to see Formula One, and we couldn't foresee any reason why we would cancel. So I would just, for anybody using Airbnb, just make sure you read the host's specifications about cancellation policies and any other policies they may have, because even the deposit they take as well, that's on top of what you're paying for the week. So, that was a whole deposit. And the hosts have the ability to keep your deposit if they think you've done something to the house, if you know what I mean. So you just have to you just need to be very careful about using them, would be my advice.